Hi, this is Dennis, and I'm going to create a video on how to use or write an equals method. So let me get started. So in doing this, I'm going to just create a brand new project. And I'm going to call it the equals method. Doesn't matter what I name it. And now in the equals method, I'm going to create a single class. I'm going to call it the car class. And in the car class, I'm going to have a few fields. I'm going to have, I think I want 4 fields in my car class. And those fields will be the number of doors, the color of the car, the make, and the miles per gallon. Not that it's important, but I'm going to have 4 fields. I'm going to generate a constructor using all the fields, and I'm not going to do any validation. And then I'm going to generate my setters and my getters. And then finally, I'm going to generate an equals method. So here's my equals method. Get rid of this guy for now. So my equals method is going to look like this, and I'm going to rewrite it from scratch now. So my equals method is going to start as you see it, and I'm going to come here. I'm going to create a variable called result. And this is what I'm going to return down here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, this is in the car class, so I'm going to do a check to see if this object that was sent in here is actually belongs to the car class. So if my object, obj, that is sent belongs to the car class, then if that's true, I'm going to say result equals, if it's not. So notice I said if it's not an instance of the car class, result equals false. I'm going to do an else if, and now I'm going to do another test. Before I do that, I'm going to create some variables. I'm going to create some variables to avoid the needing of that strange syntax where I have to override the dot operator. So I'm going to create a variable, VMPG. So this is my variable for miles per gallon, and it's going to equal car, and then dot, and then obj, and then dot, so I'm going to follow the syntax from the slideshow where I override the dot operator because that has a higher precedent. So I'm going to cast my object, override the dot operator, and call this method. So I'm going to store the miles per gallon for this vehicle here. And then I'm going to do the same thing in case I need the other fields. And I may or may not need them. So I have miles per gallon, I have color, I have make, and I have doors. So all I have to do and obviously I have to change these to string, and this one's a string. So this is going to be get color, and this is going to be get make. So now when I do my test in here, I can avoid all this strange syntax. So let's say I'm going to make up a rule. I'm going to say two cars are equal if their miles per gallon are equal. So if the car that I'm sending, or I'm calling this from, is equal to this dot get MPG, if that's true, then I'm going to say result equals true, meaning these cars happen to be equal. Else, don't really need this, but I want to say result equals false. And I don't need it because I defaulted up there. All right, so I think I have an equals method that says two cars are equal if they get the same miles per gallon. So to test this, I'm going to create a test class. I'm going to call it test class equals method. I'm going to create a main. And in my main, I am going to have a constructor that builds a couple cars. So I'm going to say cars, car 1 gets new car, and I'm going to pass it the number of doors, the color, the model, and the miles per gallon. So there's a car. I'm going to create a second one, call it car 2. And I'm going to change the doors in car 2, and I'll change the color. I'll leave it a Honda, and I'll give it the same miles per gallon. So I'm going to just do a test. If car 1 dot equals car 2. So if car 1 equals car 2, I'm going to say something like, if I can only type, wow, the cars are equal. And obviously, if it doesn't equal, then I'm going to say the cars are not equal. And I think I could test this. So what makes up equal, oops, don't do that. What makes up two cars are equal? Two cars are equal if their miles per gallon are equal. So when I run it, sorry about that, I was running the wrong project. So when I run it, it should say these two cars are equal. So I'm going to run it, and the cars are equal. If I say this car gets 42 miles per gallon and this one gets 45, then they should no longer be equal. So let's see what happens. I accidentally had insert on, so let's get that back here. And now they should no longer be equal. Let's run it. And their cars are not equal. So let's say I want to make up my own thing, or my own rules if cars are equal or not equal. So I'm going to come back into this equals method, and I am going to say if their miles per gallon are the same, or their doors are the same. So they'll be equal if either of these two things are true. If either of these two things are true. So let's go back in here, and we know they're not equal right now. Let's make another car. I'm going to have this have two doors. It's going to be yellow. It doesn't really matter. I'll make this a Toyota. Man, my fingers. and I'll set it at 34 miles per gallon. So I'm going to compare car 2 and car 3. They have different miles per gallon, but they have the same number of doors, so they should be equal, I believe. So if I compare car 2 with car 3, they should be equal because of their doors. So this was the first thing I compared, which was not equal, and now they are equal. So car 2 and 3 are equal. I guess I can do this again if I want. Let's just comment this out so it doesn't run twice. So now, if I compare car 1 and car 3, car 1 has 4 doors and 34 and 42 miles per gallon. So this should say not equal. The cars are not equal. If I take car 1 and car 3 and make either this number and this number the same, or this number and this number the same, the cars will be equal. So let's just do 34. They're going to be equal. The cars are equal. Don't know why it took so long to run. If I change this back to some other number, but I change this to a same number of doors, so car 1 has 2 doors, car 3 has 2 doors, they're going to be equal again. So you'll define when you make up your classes, or the client will determine what constitutes equal. Maybe I could say if their miles per gallon are within a positive plus or minus 5 miles per gallon, they're equal. However I want to do it. So let's review. In review, I make a few objects. I make a class, and in the class, I must have a method with this exact signature, which is going to override the objects method. The first thing I like to do is create some variables for the fields that I'm going to use in my as my comparison. I create a result. I come in here, and the first thing I say is, hey, if this object is not a car, then I don't need to be here, and because a truck and a car cannot be equal in essence. Then I do my test. I either return true or false, and that's it. So that's your equals method. Have a good day.